four across the middle are James, Gilmore, Mount and Chilwell, with Ziyech, Werner and Havertz. As the attacking three for Fulham is Areola in goal, with the back four of Anya, Anderson, Adarabioyo and Robinson. The four across the middle are Decordova-Reid, Anguissa, Lamina and Lookman, with Maja and Cavallero as the two up front. It's a 5:30 kickoff, Chelsea against Fulham. So West London derby at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea take on Fulham. Chelsea 5 points behind Leicester City in third place. Fulham 9 points adrift of safety with just 5 games to play. And the teams are in for Chelsea. It is Mendy in goal, with a back three of Christensen, Thiago Silva and Zuma. The four across the middle are James, Gilmore, Mount and Chilwell, with Ziyech, Werner and Havertz. As the attacking three for Fulham is Areola in goal, with the back four of Anya, Anderson, Adarabioyo and Robinson. The four across the middle are Decordova-Reid, Anguissa, Lamina and Lookman, with Maja and Cavallero as the two up front. It's a 5:30 kickoff, Chelsea against Fulham. So West London derby at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea take on Fulham. Chelsea 5 points behind Leicester City in third place. Fulham 9 points adrift of safety with just 5 games to play. And the teams are in for Chelsea. It is Mendy in goal, with a back three of Christensen, Thiago Silva and Zuma. The four across the middle are James, Gilmore, Mount and Chilwell, with Ziyech, Werner. Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining me on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The early evening kickoff in the Premier League is a West London derby at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea take on Fulham. The match has just got underway, and Chelsea still very much hunting for, well, looking to secure that top 4 place and get as close as they can to Leicester City in third place, whereas their opponents this evening, Fulham, they're currently 9 points adrift of safety with 5 games, including this one, to play. So it really is now or never in terms of Fulham starting to pick up some points and give themselves a chance of staying up in the league. It doesn't help that sides just ahead of Fulham have been picking up points recently. Newcastle getting some good results, Burnley, and of course Brighton getting that win against Leeds United earlier this afternoon. A big win for Brighton, beating Leeds by 2-0. So now Fulham with some work to do, but it is Chelsea in possession early on in this game. There have been a couple of changes from Thomas Tuchel as his side still look to try and get past Real Madrid in the midweek. The second leg of that is coming up on Wednesday, but it is Edouard Mendy in goal for Chelsea, with the back three of Andreas Christensen, Thiago Silva and Kurt Zuma. The four across the middle are Reece James, Billy Gilmore, Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell, with Hakim Ziyech, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner as the three up front for Fulham. Alphonse Areola is in goal, with the back four of Ola Anya, Jim Anderson, Tosin Adarabioyo and Anthony Robinson. Four across the middle are Bobby Decordova-Reid, Frank Zambo Anguissa and Mario Lamina, with Ademola Lookman on the left and Ivan Cavallero and Josh Maja as the two up front. Chelsea in possession, with Thiago Silva being closed down by Decordova-Reid. Across to Christensen, back to Thiago Silva, over towards the left-hand side for Chilwell, straight away pressing from Caballero. As Fulham looking to try and get as close as they can to Chelsea here, but so far Thomas Tuchel's side just quite happy to move the ball around inside their own half. Reece James being closed down now by Anthony Robinson, and Billy Gilmore being closed down there by Zambo Anguissa, and it pays off in the end. It's Reece James that gives the ball away. Fulham in possession now down the left-hand side. Anthony Robinson deflects that ball off Reece James. It's going to be a throw to the visitors down the left-hand side. Robinson with the throw in towards Lookman. Lookman skips past a couple of players, breaks into the box, but it's partially cleared by Thiago Silva and then cleared by Hakim Ziyech up towards the halfway line, headed forward by Anderson. And Fulham still in possession now, with Robinson down the left-hand side, tries to thread that ball through towards Decordova-Reid. But Hakim Ziyech now picks it up for Chelsea, goes to Havertz. Havertz back to James, and now Christensen being closed down by Lookman. Ball up towards the halfway line, headed forward by Adarabioyo, being closed down here. It was Christensen by Frank Zambo Anguissa, but Christensen's unable to get the ball back towards Edouard Mendy. Mendy's clearance doesn't get too much distance on it. Still a chance here for Fulham midfield. Chelsea just getting bogged down inside their own half, and they do give the ball away now, Chelsea, with Cavallero feeding Josh Maja. Maja gets all the way to the byline, tries to put a cross in, which is charged down by Thiago Silva. Maja slips into the advertising boards there as well, but it looks like he's going to be okay. Fulham have a corner though, and hard work there from Scott Parker's side right from the first minute, but Chelsea not looking to clear that ball long. Still quite happy to play out from the back, despite the fact that at one stage there was something like 7 or 8 Fulham players pressing inside the Chelsea half. But now it is a corner kick to the visitors, and the big men from the back, Anya, Adarabioyo and Anderson have all arrived. They're all inside the 6-yard box. Ademola Lookman waiting to take the corner from the right-hand side. There's a fair few players for him to try and aim for as well. We'll see if it's going to be cross straight into the box. Is it going to be a short ball? No, it's drilled in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed up in the air by Thiago Silva. Loose ball drops to Caballero on the left-hand side. He's trying to force another corner, but this time couldn't quite get the deflection off Christensen. Ball is out for a goal kick to Chelsea. So 4 minutes gone, independent off-tube studio commentary, but a bright start here from Fulham as they're trying to save themselves in this Premier League season. And Thomas Tuchel's side have only had defeats so far at their own stadium. They haven't lost away from home yet as they give the ball away, and there's a chance now for Robinson, who takes a strike from just outside the area. Ball was just rising though, but looks like there were fingertips from Edouard Mendy, and once again it's Chelsea just being a bit slack in midfield. It's Kai Havertz caught in possession. Robertson picks it up, and his strike is tipped over the bar by Mendy. It's actually a really good save from the Chelsea keeper. Fingertips to that one. It was a really good strike from Robinson as well. So another corner kick now to Fulham. From that right-hand side again. Waiting to get the ball in now. Ademola Lookman lifts that one towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Good strong header away by Kurt Zuma. Ball back at the edge of the Chelsea penalty, headed forward by Adebayo. Decordova-Reid looking to try and turn and get a shot away, but the ball is cleared. Then Anderson bumping in towards Timo Werner, gets a strike away as well, but the strike is over the bar. Werner was expecting a free kick there. It's Anderson. Well, there was no whistle. Referee Kevin Friend said play on, and the strike from Joachim Anderson goes a long way over the bar in the end. It's Scott Parker. He'll be pleased with this start. 5 minutes gone, and Chelsea pretty much haven't had any possession inside the Fulham half here, despite the fact that Chelsea pretty much had all the ball in this game. Fulham have just picked the ball off a couple of times and won themselves a couple of set pieces, a couple of strikes on goal as well. Really good effort from Anthony Robinson. The one from Anderson just a little bit over the bar. Fulham's remaining games after today, they're at home to Burnley, away to Southampton, away to Manchester United, and at home to Newcastle. So certainly those 2 home games, well, Scott Parker would argue, are winnable. They can also get something away at Southampton, and potentially, along with, say, a point this evening. If they were to get a point this evening and win 3 out of their last 4 games, gives them 10 points. Currently 9 points adrift as it is. Really is a tall order. Fulham may well have to try and get something at Old Trafford as well if it's possible. But now Billy Gilmour under pressure at the edge of his own area. Chelsea still looking to try and play out from the back. Christensen now plays a long ball up to Timo Werner, who nods it on to Kai Havertz, and Havertz is heading towards the penalty area now. He's got Mason Mount ahead of him, chooses not to pass him, but he passes to Chilwell on the left-hand side. He plays it back to Kai Havertz. Havertz now in towards Mason Mount. Mount drills that across, and Timo Werner, he wasn't too far away from it. Just at the edge of the 6-yard box, the ball is out for a throw to Fulham down the left-hand side. That was a good move that from Chelsea. Waited and waited until they could finally play a ball towards the halfway line. Not a space there for Kai Havertz. Probably could have looked to try and play it into Mason Mount, but then Chilwell made it back towards Ziyech. He found Mount, and Mount drilling that across really wasn't far away from Timo Werner. I do wonder if he was in an offside position when that pass was made to him anyway, so it possibly wouldn't have counted in any case. But the ball is back in play now. Bouncing ball that Christensen tries to head on. It stays in play. There's a bit of a miscued clearance there from Adebayo down the left-hand side. The ball goes out for a throw to Chelsea. Picked up now by Reece James. For options left and right here, Reece James can't really see anyone for a short throw. Has to send a long throw all the way back towards the halfway line. Which again, you have to credit Fulham that they really were marking very well inside their own half. That Chelsea had a throw about 35 yards out from goal and had to go all the way back towards the halfway line. Now even Caballero back at the edge of his own area, being put under pressure by Ben Chilwell. And the ball deflects off Chilwell in the end. It goes out for a throw to Fulham down the right-hand side. 8 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Chelsea 0, Fulham 0. In the earlier games today, Crystal Palace losing 2-0 at home to Manchester City, and Brighton beating Leeds United by 2 goals to 0. The 8 PM kickoff this evening is Everton against Aston Villa. Well, Anya now waiting to start play with his throw down the right-hand side. Long throw from him towards the halfway line, headed forward by Kurt Zuma. Ball back now at the edge of the area, headed away by Anderson. Back with Chilwell on the left-hand side. Plays it forward now towards Mason Mount. Both sides claiming the ball had gone out of play. I think it is going to be given as a throw to Fulham. News for the visitors to try and keep a little bit of possession. So Thomas Tuchel has made a very good start at Chelsea. The only, I suppose, negative point you could say is sometimes in certain games the style of play has become a little bit pedestrian, a little bit slow, perhaps a little bit more defensive, but then that was Tuchel's first remit, was to make Chelsea harder to beat. There's a criticism of Chelsea under the Lampard era that for every good game they played, they did have a few matches, but they just looked a little bit susceptible at the back. And certainly that has improved. 10 out of 14 of Thomas Tuchel's first games in charge for Chelsea in the Premier League have finished with clean sheets for the Blues. They haven't been scoring as many, but they haven't been conceding as many either, and that was part of the task here for Thomas Tuchel when he first arrived. Considering that Chelsea still in with a very good shout against Real Madrid, they're in the final of the FA Cup as well, but we'll break off from that in a second because a long ball goes forward. It's a great chance for Kai Havertz. He gets into the penalty area, tucks it past the goalkeeper, and on 10 minutes Chelsea take the lead. Fulham caught out by a long ball, just couldn't deal with it. The ball gets through to Havertz, and Chelsea, having looked a little bit rocky perhaps at the start of this game, have now taken the lead. It's not the start that Scott Parker would have wanted after his side looked so bright early on. But we'll see here, it was a short goal kick. Edouard Mendy playing a ball to Thiago Silva. He just walks towards the edge of his own area, then sends a huge ball right through the middle, which was brilliantly controlled by Mason Mount. He laid it off to Kai Havertz. He broke into the penalty area. The ball just grazes off Alphonse Areola, but he couldn't really make a save to stop it from going into the back of the net. And it is Chelsea that take an early lead. It's the control from Mason Mount to take that ball down and lay it off to Havertz really was superb, and it was a very smart finish from Havertz as well. Went more for placement rather than power. So after a bright start for Fulham inside the first few minutes, the visitors really trying to press on Chelsea, who struggled to get out of their own half in the first 5 minutes. Fulham having a couple of corner kicks and a really good strike from Anthony Robinson, forcing a one-handed save from Edouard Mendy. But now Fulham, despite that good start, have been caught out by a long ball. It was Thiago Silva just picking up a short goal kick from Edouard Mendy, sent a huge ball straight down the middle towards the edge of the Fulham penalty area, brilliantly taken down by Mason Mount. He then laid that ball off to Kai Havertz, who was onside. He wasn't marked, and he was able to tuck the ball past the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. Chelsea lead. It's Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. Cross coming in now from the right-hand side from De Cordova, but that one is easily saved by Edouard Mendy. Clears that one towards the halfway line. And I'm thinking there may have been a... was there a foul there on the goalkeeper? I think the referee spotted something wrong with that as Mendy cleared that ball long. So the ball is going back towards the Chelsea keeper now. So how do Fulham respond to that? They've had 15 goals, 15 games I should say this season where they've conceded first, and they've drawn one of them and lost 14, so it's not a good record for Fulham when they concede first, that's for sure. Going to have to pull something special out the bag this evening to try and get something back in this game as Chelsea go forward now. There's far too much space at the edge of the Fulham penalty area now as Kai Havertz breaks into the box, tees it up for Hakim Ziyech's strike, gets a deflection. Timo Werner sliding in to try and do something with that deflection, but the ball just bounces away from him, and it's back into the arms of Areola, played out towards Mario Lemina. Back towards the edge of the area. There's Zuma pushing forward now, wins the ball back for Chelsea, and it's Kai Havertz getting the ball to Timo Werner inside the penalty area, but that one is just taken off his toes, and it's now with Anthony Robinson down the left-hand side for Fulham. Mario Lemina plays it forward, that one straight to Andreas Christensen, and Chelsea back in possession now with Reece James down the right-hand side. Back towards the halfway line now for Thiago Silva. Silva inside to Kai Havertz, the goal scorer. Back towards Christensen. Towards Reece James now, but Fulham doing what they can to close up their own half. They're not pressing as high up the field as they were before. And Chelsea just finding that a little bit easier to get into the Fulham half as Kurt Zuma goes out towards Ben Chilwell. Chilwell back towards Billy Gilmour on the halfway line. A rare start this evening, Gilmour. With Christensen now, and he lays it back towards Thiago Silva. I mentioned that there were a few changes. Of course, Chelsea do have that massive game against Real Madrid on Wednesday night. The bench for Chelsea this evening is Tammy Abraham, Christian Pulisic, Marcus Alonso, Cesar Azpilicueta, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Faustino Anjorin, Jorginho, N'Golo Kante, and goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga. That's the bench for Chelsea. I'll do the Fulham bench in just a moment. The visitors are on the attack now down the right-hand side. Caballero stopped in his tracks by Kurt Zouma. Good challenge there from Kurt Zouma to put the ball out of play. So the Fulham bench is Alexandra Mitrovic, Denis Odoi, Josh Yanoma, Fabio Carvalho, Kenny Tete, Michael Hector, Tim Ream, Joe Bryant, and goalkeeper Marek Rodak. Throw now to Fulham down the right-hand side. Ball sent back towards Anderson. Plays it square to Adarabioyo, over towards Anthony Robinson down the left-hand side. And Reece James just lets this go out of play. Throw on to Chelsea now, the ball going back towards the edge of the Chelsea penalty area, coming up to 15 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. It is Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. Played towards Timo Werner. Under pressure there from Mario Lemina, but the loose ball still picked up by Billy Gilmore. Now Hakim Ziyech runs straight into Adarabioyo, but the ball is lost by Anderson. And now there are three Chelsea players heading towards the edge of the area. Havertz slides in to try and keep that ball alive for Chelsea, but that's good work from Anderson to get that ball away. And the ball now on the halfway line with Decordova-Reid chasing it, but Thiago Silva gets there first. Chelsea are back in possession now with Billy Gilmore. Back to Christensen. Over to Reece James down the right-hand side. He plays it back into Gilmore. Square to Kurt Zouma. Ben Chilwell down the left-hand side, being closed down, but Chelsea looking comfortable in possession now. Clearly just taking a bit of a dent of confidence after conceding that early goal. That's after a very positive start from Fulham as well. It's all played down towards Reece James, is put out for a throw. James taking the throw himself. You can see from the live table that Chelsea will be 2 points behind Leicester City with 4 games to play each. There's only 1 goal in it as well, with Leicester City's goal difference plus 22, and Chelsea's currently, as the live table stands, plus 21. So if they can get another couple of goals this evening, that could certainly at least improve their goal difference and still give them a chance of getting that 3rd place. So now back with Andreas Christensen. James now under pressure, going back towards Thiago Silva. Silva with Mason Mount now on the left-hand side, playing it back in towards Kurt Zouma. Thiago Silva inside towards Hakim Ziyech. Fulham really backing off now as Ziyech had a lot of space to try and measure this pass to Ben Chilwell, headed away at the edge of the area by even Caballero. Loose ball goes back to Chilwell. Now it's with Gilmore. Gilmore's cross straight into the face of Decordova-Reid. He heads that away back towards the halfway line. But Chelsea straight away back into possession here with Hakim Ziyech. Now it's Kurt Zouma to Timo Werner. Mason Mount now at the edge of the area, puts a cross in. Havertz controls it. Does the flag go up? The flag does go up. The ball is in the back of the net, but it won't count. Looks like the linesman made that decision even before VAR got involved, unless he was getting some live assistance there as well. It was a very quick flag. Just have to wait and see whether or not there is an offside here, as this ball is... Oh, yeah. It's absolutely no need for VAR on this one. There is at least a yard or two between Havertz and the last defender. So, as I say, no need to worry about a fingernail or a sleeve being offside on this occasion. It was pretty obvious that there was an offside. Fulham now trying to play out from the back with Adarabioyo going across towards Robinson down the left-hand side. He plays it forward. That's a clumsy challenge there from Christensen. Just bumping inside Amola Lookman. Lookman just needing a minute or two to be able to pick himself up. But the ball now over on the right-hand side with Frank Zambo-Anguissa to Anderson. Adarabioyo bringing the ball forward for Fulham. Plays one down the middle, looking for the run of Lookman, but that one goes straight out of play for a goal kick. 18 minutes gone. Still Chelsea leading Fulham by a goal to 0. It really has been it was a difficult start for Fulham, in so much that there was a very positive first few minutes. They had those 2 efforts on goal, and then that one quick move, that one ball down the middle, just seemed to be enough to give Chelsea that early lead. And since then, Fulham have really struggled to get any kind of possession. They're not pressing as high up the field either. Because Chelsea have a lot more freedom in playing out from the back. It's Gilmour on the ball now for Chelsea. It's back towards Thiago Silva. Gilmour back towards Christensen. There is Reece James moving forward, looking for a crossfield ball down the left-hand side. It almost gets through to Chilwell, but that's good covering from even Caballero, going back towards the goalkeeper. Clearance from Areola goes straight to Billy Gilmour, but he's caught in possession by Zambo Anguissa. It's a good run from Frank Zambo Anguissa as well. Just has to stop in his tracks as he's being closed down by two Chelsea players. It's a deflection off Mason Mount in the end to win his side a throw. It's the chance for Fulham to keep a little bit of possession inside the Chelsea half. Ola Anya now waiting to take this one. Options here. Caballero's just ahead of him. Zambo Anguissa's just a bit further forward, and Maja's further away still. He's managed to get that ball to Josh Maja. Now he plays it back into Anya. Here's Mario Lemina heading towards the penalty area. Tries to put that ball into space and run into it himself. We very nearly managed it, but Kurt Zouma always had a head start there. I always call that the playground move, where you just get the fast kid that puts the ball into space and then just chases it with the slower kid trying to chase him. Now, you do see that, of course, on professional fields as well, but it's slightly rarer, really, because obviously most players, even defenders, have got that bit of pace about. There's always somebody else to cover. And on that occasion, Lemina very nearly got away with it, played that ball into space, but just a bit too close to Kurt Zouma, and he was able to put it out. In the meantime, Fulham have had a second attempt to put the ball into the penalty area, but that one has gone out for a goal kick. Attempted ball in from Ola Anya. The camera now focusing on Scott Parker. So he did promise when they won promotion last season that they'd learned from their previous relegation. They were going to make a much better effort of it this time. After the first 10 or 12 games, you'd be forgiven for thinking that perhaps Fulham weren't able to do any better, but they really did improve after that difficult start. There was a marked improvement in the results and in the style of play from Fulham. It's just in the last 6 or 7 games that things have tailed off. It was that defeat, I think, at home that Fulham had against Leeds United. That was 3 games ago. That was a game that they really needed to win, having won away at Liverpool, which was an amazing result. And they're unlucky to lose at home to Spurs as well, with some VAR shenanigans just going against Fulham. But then that 3-0 defeat at home to Manchester, that wasn't a surprise. Most teams are getting beat by Manchester City these days. But then that defeat at home to Leeds, where they actually still felt as though they had a realistic chance of getting out of relegation. But now it's Billy Gilmour caught in possession at the edge of his own area, and it's quickly Josh Maja playing the ball off to a Declan Overeed. His strike is charged down by Thiago Silva, and the ball is out for a corner kick. And it's Gilmour that gives it away. But to borrow a rugby expression, that was a hospital pass from Thiago Silva, because really there was no way that Gilmour could turn away from 2 Fulham players the way that that ball had been played to him. And then Declan Overeed with the strike, Thiago Silva at the very least just correcting his error by charging the shot down. And the corner kick to Fulham now down the right-hand side. It was Lookman taking the previous 2 corners. Is it Ademola Lookman over on that right-hand side again? It certainly is. Just waiting for his teammates to get into position. Lookman with the ball in, headed away by Havertz. Loose ball getting back towards the edge of the penalty area. Anthony Robinson now hooks that one away. It's with Ademola Lookman. He strikes it. It's one-handed save from Edouard Mendy, and then the ball having to be nodded out for a corner by Reece James. But once again, Fulham just getting a little period of pressure here. It's Anthony Robinson who just hooked the ball towards Ademola Lookman. Everyone at the edge of the Chelsea penalty just completely forgot about Lookman there. It was actually a good ball from Robinson, using his weaker right foot as well to find Lookman. Strike well saved by Mendy, and then James heading it out for a corner. It's the first corner that Fulham have had on the left-hand side. It's still going to be Lookman to take it, so it's going to be an in-swinger this time. And he puts a lot of height on that one as well, aiming for Adebayo. The ball headed across by Christensen, back into the 6-yard box by Anderson, and then Caballero was about to strike it, but Kurt Zouma just about did enough to block him. And now it's with Timo Werner going down the left-hand side. He's brought down, but he's not fouled. Both him and his manager looking towards the referee, Kevin Friend. We play on now as Declan Overeed finds Maja. But Maja's ball out towards the left-hand side is blocked. It's now with Kai Havertz down the right-hand side for Chelsea. He's pushed off the ball by Anthony Robinson. And then now Kai Havertz, has he fallen for that usual well, I say usual, it's something that we've seen more and more often in recent days, recent weeks, is the player that falls on the ball expecting a free kick and then using his hand to sort of prepare to take the free kick, and all of a sudden the referee gives the free kick against him for using his hand, and that's exactly what happened to Havertz there. He felt as though he was being brought down. Referee didn't see it like that. Interesting stat that Fulham have had 5 shots on goal. Chelsea have had just 2, and Fulham lead 2-1 in terms of shots on target, but it is Chelsea who are 1-0 up at the moment after that strike from Kai Havertz. He's now with Anthony Robinson down the left-hand side for Fulham. Under pressure going back towards the halfway line. Adebayo now to Anderson. Anderson playing it forward to Josh Maja. Plays it back to Adebayo. Through the middle, Adebayo now forced to play it back towards Mario Lemina. He then switches play towards the right-hand side for Ademola Lookman, being closed down by Ben Chilwell. And Anya now playing it back towards his own goalkeeper, Areola, over towards Adebayo down the left-hand side. Inside now to Mario Lemina. Here is Decordova-Reid. The pressure, let's go back towards his own goalkeeper. Fulham once again just seeing a bit more possession in the last few minutes, but now they've got the problem that Chelsea had in the first few minutes of this game, that they're getting bogged down inside their own half. Plenty of Chelsea players pressing, but now Anderson plays a slightly more adventurous ball down the right-hand side. Ivan Caballero was chasing it, but Thiago Silva is there first, and he plays it back to Edouard Mendy. His pass towards Reece James. Anthony Robinson wins the initial header, but then Reece James wins that ball back for Chelsea. Gilmour now going to Ziyech. That's not a good ball back from Ziyech. Good challenge there from Robinson to win the ball back for Fulham. And here is Josh Maja now playing the ball out towards Ademola Lookman on the left-hand side. Lookman playing it to Anthony Robinson on the overlap. He then plays it back to Decordova-Reid. Back towards Lookman again at the edge of the area. Ziyech flew in, but he couldn't win that ball back for Chelsea. Here is Mario Lemina now. Oh, that's a really poor ball. All that hard work from Fulham. A good 15-20 passes exchanged in midfield, and then Mario Lemina just chips the ball into the penalty area. But nobody was even close to chasing that down. I'm not really sure what Lemina was trying to do with that pass, but we'll see from this replay from the reverse angle. Well, it may well be that he thought Josh Maja was going to be able to chase that, but even if that was the case, that pass still needed to be, I think, 5 or maybe even 10 yards. Have 5 or 10 yards less on it for Maja to have any chance of getting on the end of that one. Mendy with the clearance now towards the halfway line. Fighting for it there is Mario Lemina. He wins that ball off Reece James. Plays it short now to Ademola Lookman. Lookman playing it back down the left-hand side now for Robinson. Robinson towards Adebayo as Fulham forced to go back towards the halfway line. It is Zambo Anguissa now. Is it square to Lemina. Lemina then finding Robinson, who's off down the left. Decordova-Reid to Robinson. Decordova-Reid again under pressure. Finding Lookman. Lookman back to Decordova-Reid. He's got options here. He tries to put a cross in. And even Caballero hits the deck inside the penalty area. Kevin Friend already telling him to get up. So he obviously feels that there was no foul on the Fulham man, but just lip reading what Caballero did. He just said, "Ref, he pushed me." I would say that whether Chilwell pushed Caballero or whether Caballero bumps into Chilwell and falls. I mean, there's a bit of contact from Chilwell. You couldn't say there isn't, but I'm not so sure that VAR would actually make some noise about that and say that the referee has missed an obvious penalty there. I don't think that's the case. There's not enough contact, really. Both players trying to jostle for position. Perhaps a little bit more from Chilwell, but still not enough for a penalty kick. Here is Ben Chilwell now down the left-hand side. Plays a good ball in towards Werner. Had just a little bit too much on it. Timo Werner was chasing that one, but he couldn't quite get on the end of it. And Fulham now looking to play out from the back again. Tossing out Adebayo. Adebayo now going back towards his goalkeeper. And now towards Ben Caballero, being closed down by Ben Chilwell and being fouled by Ben Chilwell. It's going to be a free kick to Fulham. Just inside their own half. Long ball played, early ball played down the left-hand side looking for Ademola Lookman. and then runs into Reece James. Final touch was off the Fulham man, a throw to Chelsea, still deep inside their own half. So after that early goal for Chelsea, giving them a 1-0 lead here against Fulham, the scoreline hasn't changed, but Chelsea had a little spell of maybe 5 minutes after scoring that goal where they were starting to look like they were getting on top, and now they've lost that initiative, and it's Fulham once again looking more likely to generate an attack. They've not really done too much to force Edouard Mendy into making saves, but certainly his defenders have had some work to do. Thiago Silva gave a poor pass to Billy Gilmour. He was dispossessed, and it took a really quick block from Thiago Silva to correct the mistake. It was also a good bit of possession for Fulham before a poor ball from Mario Lemina. Another corner kick as well, which caused problems for Chelsea before they eventually cleared their lines. Fulham have had more shots in this game. They've had more shots on goal, but it's still Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Here is Zambo Anguissa now, down the right-hand side, trying to get that ball in towards Ivan Cavallero, played away by Kurt Zouma. Played back towards Thiago Silva, and possession stats for the last 10 minutes. 32% for the home side Chelsea, 68 for Fulham, but Fulham lose the ball on the halfway line, and Hakim Ziyech now is off down the middle, plays that ball into Timo Werner. A very heavy touch though from the Chelsea number 11 there. Timo Werner will be disappointed with that one. It's good work from Ziyech to initially win this ball for Chelsea, and when he plays that ball into Timo Werner, I mean, I can understand what he's trying to do. You can see that Adebayo is getting close to him, so he's got to try and do something to get that ball away from the big defender, but just put too much on that heavy touch in the end. No chance of getting on the end of that one. Now played back towards Thiago Silva. Silva looking up, still got space to go into the Fulham half. Now plays it towards Kurt Zouma. The pressure from Decordova-Reid. Towards Thiago Silva, now it's Billy Gilmour. Down towards Mason Mount, picked up here by Reece James. James looking to try and get into the penalty area, being closed down by Ademola Lookman. And in the end, James unable to keep that ball alive. The ball is now with Mason Mount down the right-hand side. Finds another opportunity here now for Reece James. Played back towards Thiago Silva. Things really have slowed down here now for Chelsea, but at least they are in possession, allowing Fulham to get the ball off them for the time being, although they're having to spend more time around about the halfway line than they are anywhere near the Fulham penalty area. Now played back towards Christensen. Feeds it in towards Hakim Ziyech. Ziyech, oh, that wasn't a bad idea. It was an excellent block in the end from Ola Anya, because had that not happened, then the ball would have got through straight through towards Timo Werner. He would have been one-on-one from the edge of the area, but Fulham now must have exchanged around 20 passes here. And they're still struggling to get past the halfway line. Ademola Lookman feels as though he was pushed as he was trying to control that. Referee not interested. Chelsea going forward now with Hakim Ziyech. Ziyech blocked by Zambo Anguissa. He goes back towards Kurt Zouma. Now it's with Thiago Silva to Billy Gilmour, and now Mason Mount finding Kai Havertz. Havertz just waits too long to control it. What is Kai Havertz doing there? Just allows that ball to go out for a goal kick. I think in the meantime it turns out that he was offside anyway, but even so, I mean, that really was a very heavy touch from Havertz, and he should have done better with that one. Now, we'll be back for Fulham goalkeeper Alphonse Areola. 32 minutes gone. Chelsea leading against Fulham by a goal to nil. Goalkeeper Areola wants to take this free kick short. There are still 3 Chelsea players in and around the penalty area. The goalkeeper, in the end, admits defeat. He just sends his defenders up the field now, and he's going to send a long clearance as well. Too much of a risk to try and lose this ball at the edge of your own penalty area. And, long clearance now from Areola. I mentioned Fulham have made a much better effort this season than they did the previous time in the Premier League. It looks like, I mean, I say that mathematically they're still very much in with a shout, but really it does look as though they are starting to run out of games. And unfortunately, these 32 minutes we've seen here is a good summation of how unlucky Fulham have been in certain games. They've been poor in certain games, there's no doubt about that, but they've also been very well organised and unlucky in quite a few games as well. As I say, that home game against Spurs springs to mind straight away as a game I thought that Fulham were quite unlucky to lose. At home to Wolves recently, well, they didn't do too much, but they were perhaps a little bit unlucky to concede when because Wolves weren't doing too much to go forward either. As I say, it's just one of those things that when you're down the bottom, you don't get those. You don't put it this way. You don't win very many games by playing badly. Whereas teams at the top do seem to have that knack of just winning ugly, which can be very important as well. We're going to get a drop ball here now as Fulham pass going square, deflects off Kevin Fred. I'm glad he sees the funny side of it. I suppose it was possession on the halfway line, so it's not like Fulham lost out on a major attack there, but it is a drop ball now with the ball being given back to the visitors. Dickled over Reed, with just a little smirk on his face. He certainly wasn't laughing as much as the referee was as he gets the ball back, and now it's with Joachim Andersen going out towards the right-hand side now for Zambo Anguissa. Ademola Lookman being closed down here by Ben Chilwell. The ball going back towards Andersen. Oh, he overplays that, but he just about manages to get a challenge in before Timo Werner would have dispossessed him. And now deckled over Reed, brought down by Reece James. And it will be a free kick to Fulham. Ball going back towards Andersen. Square to Ola Anya. Now it's with Zambo Anguissa down the right-hand side to Josh Maja. Again, Fulham looking good on the ball, but it's all on the halfway line. They need to be a little bit further up the field here as Anthony Robinson now down the left-hand side. Lays it into deckled over Reed. Back towards Andersen on the halfway line. Sends a long ball now towards the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. A comfortable header away from Reece James. Loose ball is with Mason Mount, and he plays it back towards Thiago Silva, who's already being closed down by deckled over Reed. Billy Gilmour being closed down by Mario Lemina, but he still gets it to Kurt Zouma. Ben Chilwell now down the left-hand side, having to go back towards Kurt Zouma. Zouma in turn is being closed down by Josh Maja, but the ball goes back towards goalkeeper Edouard Mendy. Cleared up towards the halfway line. Billy Gilmour now heading it forward, and it's with Mason Mount out towards the right-hand side. This has become a bit more of a regular fixture now for Chelsea, although I'm mentioning Mason Mount now in terms of his playing in that midfield four. Although we have still seen games where he's played in that attacking three, but it seems to be that Thomas Tuchel's sort of fixing more on having Mason Mount in that midfield four. Of course, it depends on the opposition as well, of course. He's not really given himself too much of a defensive midfield option today, although Billy Gilmour is alongside Mason Mount in that central midfield role. I think he probably felt as though Chelsea could get away with not having any sort of Jorginho or Kante in the team, thinking that perhaps it's important to preserve them for that game against Real Madrid in midweek. In the meantime, Chelsea have got up the other end, and they've won themselves a corner kick now down the right-hand side. But surely everyone arriving inside the penalty area now. No surprise to see Kurt Zouma in there. He was certainly one of the target men for the corner kick taker. Thiago Silva, the captain for today, he's up there as well. Wait to see how this corner kick is going to be taken. Looks like it's going to be an outswinger from Mason Mount, but it's not enough height on that one. It barely clears the first defender at the near. It doesn't clear the first defender at the near post, and the ball is now cleared up towards the halfway line with the chance for Fulham to go on the counter-attack. It's even Caballero there, allowing that ball to go out for a throw. Ola Anya now waiting to take this one. As mentioned, just the two defeats for Chelsea so far under Thomas Tuchel. He took over. His first game in charge was at home to Wolves, and since then been pretty much all wins with just a few draws. That's a real sort of shock result at the beginning of April, losing to West Bromwich Albion by 5 goals to 2. I did the commentary of that game, and it was a crazy game really, the way in which sort of Chelsea almost pressed the self-destruct button, and at the same time West Bromwich Albion just had a great afternoon. Tejas Pereira in a starring role in that game. And then there was the 1-0 defeat as well at home to Porto, although that was in the quarter-final second leg, and Chelsea knew they still had the overall aggregate advantage there. So overall it has been a very steady start from Thomas Tuchel, but he'll be a little bit concerned about the way his side are performing in this game, despite Fulham potentially being a little bit dejected after conceding that early goal. Since then they've slowly grown into the game again. And here is Tosin Adebayo now down the left-hand side, and got forward and trying to leave that ball for Anthony Robinson. It's cleared, but only as far as Ademola Lookman. He plays it back towards Mario Lemina on the halfway line, over towards Zambo Anguissa down the right-hand side. Then finds Ivan Caballero. The pressure from Kurt Zouma, going back towards the halfway line for Mario Lemina. Now Joachim Andersen going square to Tosin Adebayo. On the left-hand side, Anthony Robinson. The ball now picked up here by Lookman. A straight back heel back to Robinson, who's been chasing this one all the way to the line. And well, Reece James was actually telling Thiago Silva to stay away because he thought he had it controlled, but Thiago Silva ignored that request. He stepped forward and won the ball back for Chelsea, no problem at all. And now they're on the attack with a quick ball threaded through towards Timo Werner. It's a tight angle, but he plays it square for Hakim Ziyech. Fantastic save from Alphonse Areola. The Fulham defenders just stopped inside the box. It was Lamina and Adebayo who were chasing back, and it was Areola having to tell them to get up because this ball was still live on the left-hand side here for Chelsea. But that really had 2-0 to Chelsea written all over it. But a great save from Areola. Perhaps the finish from Ziyech could have been just a little bit more clinical. Yeah, I think he just went for just a sort of straight, almost pass into the net. If he'd have just put his laces through that, put a bit more power on it, may well have got past the goalkeeper. But in fairness, Areola reacted very quickly. It's now with Billy Gilmour. Halfway now, going back towards Thiago Silva. It's Kurt Zouma now down the left-hand side. Kai Havertz into Mason Mount. And Mount back to Havertz inside the penalty area now towards Timo Werner. That one is cleared. It's out for a throw to Chelsea down the left-hand side. You can see it was Zambo Anguissa just playing a bit of a blind pass, which went straight through to Hakim Ziyech. And then it was Mount that threaded that ball through towards Werner. He played it square for Ziyech. And actually, perhaps I should be praising Alphonse Areola even more, because this finish from Ziyech, I mean, he is with the side foot rather than with the laces, but he's not just poked it towards goal. He has put a little bit of power behind it, and full credit there to Areola for getting across and making a very good save. Fulham now call possession inside their own half, and it's ball played through towards Timo Werner. His strike towards goal, never far away enough from Areola to really cause the goalkeeper any problems. And the ball eventually back in play now, but it was all with Fulham just getting caught in possession. They've got to be careful of that now, Scott Parker's side. That's 2 or 3 times now where they've just given the ball away for free. And considering that Chelsea have more than enough to actually win that ball back for themselves anyway, Fulham start gifting Chelsea possession. Really is going to be too easy as Zambo Anguissa goes down holding his left knee. We may be getting our first booking of the evening. As referee Kevin Friend is across. Just see what he thought of this one. Yeah, it was just a little bit rash there from Kurt Zouma. Although, yeah, the foot's raised a little bit as well. Zambo Anguissa just needing a moment to pick himself up. Kurt Zouma picks up his 3rd yellow card of the season. And here come Fulham now down the left-hand side. Ball played in by Robinson towards the penalty area, partially cleared by Thiago Silva. I say partially because the ball is still close to the penalty area. Still some work here for Reece James to try and get rid of it, but Fulham win it back at the edge of the box, and then it was a difficult one for Ademola Lookman. It was a ball that went right up in the air, coming down onto Ademola Lookman, and as he tried to control it, just lost his balance and couldn't keep the ball in play. Now to Chelsea, down the right-hand side. Reece James waiting to take this one. Waiting to see where his teammates are, taking a little bit longer perhaps than Fulham would like here, Reece James. It's just looking for options. Let's throw in towards Timo Werner. He's under pressure from Anderson, rolls that ball down the line, but Anderson has it back here for Fulham now, plays it back towards Adebayo. Anderson again. It's Fulham now, just slowing things down. We've got around 3 minutes to go before we hit injury time in this first half at Stamford Bridge. Still no change in the scoreline from the first 8 minutes or so, with Chelsea leading against Fulham by 1-0. Goal actually coming on 10 minutes in the end from Kai Havertz. Right, but in any case, it was an early goal after a really bright start from Fulham. But now they're on the attack with Caballero getting the ball into Josh Maja. Maja trying to tee up for Mario Lamina, who was dispossessed. And now the ball could be brought away by Hakim Ziyech. He stops just outside the centre circle and switches play out towards the left-hand side. Plenty of space here for Mason Mount. He's got Kai Havertz and Ben Chilwell up there with him. He plays the ball into Havertz. Havertz from the byline puts a cross in just behind Timo Werner. But then Mount tries to head it back to Werner to give him a second chance. That ball is cleared away. It was a quick move from Chelsea. That's cross down the left-hand from the left-hand side from Havertz. Just a little bit too high for Werner. Either that or we just jumped perhaps a little bit too soon for it. But Chelsea now back in possession here with Kurt Zouma. He plays it back towards Thiago Silva. Hakim Ziyech now. Out towards Mason Mount, trying to play a quick 1-2 with Timo Werner. is back with Reece James now towards Andreas Christensen. James again back towards the halfway line now for Thiago Silva. Square to Kurt Zouma. To bring it forward, being closed down by Josh Madger, plays it back towards Thiago Silva. Chelsea just quite purposely slowing things down now in these final couple of minutes of the first half. Thiago Silva now going square towards Kurt Zouma down the left-hand side. He finds Ben Chilwell. Chilwell inside towards Hakim Ziyech. Kurt Zouma side towards Kai Havertz. He felt he was being brought down by Ola Anya, and the referee, who's allowed a lot to go in this first half, Kevin Friend. He's not been too quick to whistle for any sort of negligible contact, but on this occasion he decided that there was enough, and it will be a free kick to Chelsea in a decent position. Still a long way from goal, but certainly close enough to think about a cross. They don't. They take a short free kick here for Ziyech to Gilmour. He then goes back towards Christensen, and now it's with Mason Mount down the right-hand side to Reece James, closed down by Anthony Robinson. He goes back towards Mason Mount. Chelsea just back in possession again on the halfway line. Christensen to Thiago Silva, over towards Hakim Ziyech down the left-hand side. He plays it back towards Kurt Zouma. No rush at all here from Chelsea. Long ball again towards the edge of the area, headed away, volleyed away in the end by Anya back towards the halfway line. It's with Thiago Silva. As Chelsea, they're in no rush really to get forward. They're just quite happy to keep possession, even if it's on the halfway line. The point is they're in possession, so if they've got the ball, then Fulham won't. And that's the main thing now for Thomas Tuchel's side in these last couple of minutes. They would have been sort of perhaps slightly concerned about Fulham's strong response after Fulham conceded. But here come Chelsea now in the final seconds as Mason Mount threads that ball in towards Andreas Christensen, who'd got forward. He tries to get the ball back to Mason Mount, and now it's with Declan Dover-Reid bringing the ball forward for Fulham. We're into 1 minute of injury time at the end of this first half, and it's Zambo Anguissa in possession for Fulham over towards Robinson. Now Mario Lemina. Lemina down the right-hand side for Ivan Caballero, brought down by Timo Werner. Free kick to Fulham. Wanted to take it quickly. Chelsea players still standing too close, stopping him from doing that. It looks like Fulham aren't going to try and take it quickly at all. They're just going to try and set everything up, and this will be all or nothing in terms of their last move of the first half. By the time this free kick is taken, we're already going to have the minute of injury time used up. Certainly once the move from this particular free kick is cleared, you'd imagine that should be the end of this first half. It's a free kick around 45 yards out, maybe even 50 yards away, as Ademola Lookman waiting to take it. Puts a cross in, which is headed away by Reece James back towards the halfway line. Anthony Robinson, well, the referee allows play to go on. He looked at his watch there, Kevin Friend, but says play on. Zambo Anguissa now down the left-hand side, back to Robinson. He lifts that ball into the penalty area, taken down and a strike. Oh, it's taken a deflection, it's off the post and cleared away. Well, that certainly would have caused some eruptions there in terms of the Chelsea bench, because we've had a minute of injury time and the referee decided to add an extra 30 seconds, and it was during those 30 seconds that a strike from Ola Anya got a slight deflection and potentially could have confused Edouard Mendy, but he's still able to get it's a really good reaction save from the goalkeeper, palming that one away, and that is the final move of this first half. Chelsea lead against Fulham by 1-0, and I'm back in 15 minutes for second half independent off-tube studio commentary. Half-time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea lead Fulham by 1-0, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by 1-0. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Half-time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea lead Fulham by a goal to nil, but that was after a very bright start for Fulham inside the first couple of minutes. Strikes from Scott Parker's side, Anthony Robinson in particular, then Anderson as well, forcing saves from Mendy, but then Fulham just caught out by a long ball. Thiago Silva playing one over the top, Mason Mount taking it down, and a smart finish from Kai Havertz. Fulham responded well, having conceded early. They actually had more shots on goal in the first half. They had more possession in the last 15 minutes as well, but it is Chelsea who lead by a goal to nil. Well, it's a very welcome back to second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the early evening kick-off in the Premier League to West London derby at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea leading Fulham by a goal to nil. Strike from Kai Havertz on 10 minutes, giving Chelsea the lead. But Fulham had a much better start than I was expecting after Chelsea getting into possession from the first minute. Fulham really pressing, getting a couple of early corner kicks. A really good strike from Anthony Robinson as well, forcing a great save from Edouard Mendy. But then a long ball from Thiago Silva, taken down by Mason Mount, laid off to Kai Havertz, and Chelsea took the lead. And after that strike, you just thought that Chelsea were going to control the game, but it wasn't to be. The next 10 or 15 minutes were certainly better for Chelsea, but then the end of the first half, Fulham pretty much coming out on top with a really good strike from Ola Anya in the final seconds of the first half after a deflection, forcing an excellent save from Edouard Mendy. But here come Chelsea inside the first minute of the second half, on the attack straight away. Kai Havertz trying to thread the ball to his fellow countryman there, Timo Werner. The ball cleared away at the edge of the 6-yard box. Now it's Andreas Christensen shoved off the ball there by Ademola Lookman. Very nearly fell into the cameraman there, Christensen, but gets up quickly, doesn't complain. It's going to be a throw to Fulham. Ball put out by Reece James. Another throw to Fulham now as they look to try and get this ball away from their own penalty. Just to remind you of the two teams, Edouard Mendy is in goal for Chelsea with the back three of Andreas Christensen, Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma. The four across the middle are Reece James, Billy Gilmore, Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell, with Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner and Kai Havertz as the attacking three for Fulham. Alphonse Areola is in goal with the back four of Ola Anya, Joachim Anderson, Tosin Adarabioyo and Anthony Robinson. The four across the middle are Bobby De Cordova-Reid, Frank Zambo-Anguissa, Mario Lemina and Ademola Lookman, with Ivan Caballero and Josh Maja as the two up front. Is now back with Chelsea goalkeeper Edouard Mendy. Clearance now down the middle, ball played all the way to the Fulham penalty area, back to Alphonse Areola. He clears it now towards the halfway line. Christensen trying to win the header there with Lookman. Looks as though the free kick might have gone against Lookman there. Just getting close to Christensen, but not jumping for the ball. Referee deciding that was going to be a free kick to Chelsea. And is Mason Mount now waiting to restart play. Can't do it at the moment because Lookman's about 3 yards away from him, but he switches play over towards the left-hand side. Chance here now for Kurt Zouma to get forward. Leaves the ball now for Ben Chilwell. Towards Billy Gilmore on the halfway line, being closed down by De Cordova-Reid. And now Thiago Silva through towards Mount. Mount just lets that run, and that allows Anthony Robinson to dispossess him. And Robinson's off down the left-hand side now. Gets away from Hakim Ziyech, threads the ball through almost towards De Cordova-Reid. Had it not been for the interception there from Thiago Silva, and now Ben Chilwell trying to play an early ball left to right to find Kai Havertz at the edge of the area, being closed down by Tosin Adarabioyo. Havertz plays it square now to Timo Werner. Werner back to Havertz, who's able to break into the penalty area, tucks it into the back of the net. Fulham look towards the linesman. The flag doesn't go up. We'll see if VAR wants to do anything with this, but for the time being, on 48 minutes, Chelsea do lead by 2 goals to nil, and that makes things doubly difficult for Fulham now. It's a lovely move, you have to say. The two German players linking up superbly well. All starts off with this fantastic diagonal ball from Ben Chilwell, brilliantly taken down by Kai Havertz, and then he just holds the ball up, finds Timo Werner. Quick 1-2 with Werner, back to Havertz. There's no offside, it's perfectly timed. When Werner plays that pass to Kai Havertz, he is just ahead, as in not crossing the offside line yet. He's still, and it actually takes a slight deflection to just let that ball get through to Havertz even more. It's slightly unlucky there, Ola Anya. But even before that deflection, Kai Havertz is not offside, so there will be no VAR review here. At least I don't think there will be. Although you never really know when they start making these lines. But no, it's actually, I'll tell you what, it's actually a lot closer. But it wasn't the time when they played the 1-2. There was actually a question mark over whether Havertz was offside when Chilwell played that initial diagonal ball to him. And actually, looking at the replay, he was only just level. But Anderson still perhaps had half a yard, or maybe not quite half a yard, but there was still a little bit of space. So there was no offside. And the referee just waiting now to confirm that we can restart play here. 49 minutes gone. Chelsea leading Fulham by 2-0 now. And Scott Parker certainly does have a worried look on his face now, because his side really have got a difficult task to try and get anything out of this game. So it's the perfect start for Chelsea in the second half. Exactly the start that Fulham didn't want, because inside the first 5 minutes, Chelsea have doubled their lead. And it was a superb diagonal ball from Ben Chilwell from the left-hand side, spotting Kai Havertz over on the right, well into Fulham territory. Havertz takes it down, plays it square to Timo Werner, then Werner plays a quick 1-2 back to Havertz, and he was able to break into the penalty area and tuck the ball past goalkeeper Alphonse Areola. Fulham looked towards the offside line. It was close, but on two occasions, firstly when the ball was played diagonal from Chilwell, he was only just level there, Kai Havertz, but then actually when that 1-2 was played with Timo Werner, there was no question of any offside anyway. So no VAR saviour for Fulham. Chelsea lead by 2-0. We'll see if Scott Parker wants to make any changes now. His side have got to be careful as well, because Chelsea perhaps can sense they can kill this game off early on in the second half. Now 2-0 is already a very healthy lead for Chelsea, but if they were to get a third, then it really becomes virtually impossible for Fulham to start thinking about getting even a point this evening. As we mentioned in the first half, there have been 15 games this season before this evening where Fulham have conceded first in the Premier League. They've lost 14 and drawn 1, so they are not a good side at chasing down a deficit in a game. That's been proven statistically this season. And so we'll see how they respond here, because they've got a bit of trouble now just to get the ball away from their own penalty area. Ola Anya miscontrolling that short ball from Joachim Andersen. Now to Chelsea down the left-hand side. Ben Chilwell going back to Billy Gilmour. Gilmour back to Zuma. And now it's Thiago Silva just holding the ball up for Chelsea, playing a long ball towards the edge of the area. Ola Anya with the header. Kai Havertz picks this one up, but he was offside. This time the flag goes up straight away. And it is now a free kick to Fulham just at the edge of their own box. Now for the visitors to try and get this ball as far up the field as they can, but their first thought, credit to Fulham, is still to play out from the back. They're not looking to try and just send the long crashing ball forward, because there's always more chance of losing it, but now they're starting to get a little bit bogged down inside their own half. And Ola Anya there, again, not happy with the pass that he got. Quite happy to have seen that one at least deflect out for a throw to Fulham. Still relatively close to their own penalty area though. Anya's throw, Zambo Anguissa dummies this for Ivan Caballero. He tried to dummy it for Josh Maja. Maja now fighting to keep that ball alive, and credit to him, he's won that ball back for Fulham. Zambo Anguissa now going back towards Anderson. He plays it square to Adebayo. Anthony Robinson now down the left-hand side. Inside now to Mario Lemina, who sends a ball over the top, looking for Ivan Caballero. That's great control there on the right-hand side from Caballero, still being marked by Ben Chilwell. Left-footed cross now from Caballero, gets ahead on it. Zuma gets ahead on it inside the penalty area, and fighting for it down the left-hand side is Lookman and Robinson. Lookman now has it for Fulham, plays it square to Zambo Anguissa. This is at the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. Zambo Anguissa forced to roll this back though to Lemina. He goes back towards the halfway line now for Joachim Andersen. Now tossing Adebayo inside towards Bobby Decordova-Reid. He's dispossessed, and an early ball from Hakim Ziyech looking for Timo Werner. That was crucial, the interception there from Joachim Andersen. He then goes in quite hard on Kai Havertz, who's only just picked himself up. Referee Kevin Friend says we're playing an advantage. And here are Chelsea now down the left-hand side with Ben Chilwell at the edge of the area. He goes back towards Gilmour. Gilmour back to Chilwell. Ball now back on the halfway line with Kurt Zuma. Thiago Silva. Chelsea just starting to assert a bit more dominance in this game now with that second goal. Say Fulham did look a little bit dejected after they conceded the first goal in the first half, but then they came back within a sort of 15-20 minute spell. Not sure they can afford to wait that long this time in the second half. They've got to try and get back on it as soon as they can. There's still plenty of work here to do. Still plenty of work for Fulham in this game if they're going to try and get something from it. Chelsea just quite comfortably moving the ball around inside the Fulham half now. It's a good run from Reece James, runs straight into Zambo Anguissa though. And he now rolls the ball back towards Tosin Adebayo. Side to Mario Lemina. Spins away from Kai Havertz and now plays it square towards Ola Anya, who's off down the right-hand side, heading towards the edge of the area. Here is chance now for Ivan Caballero. Perhaps he could have crossed it a bit sooner. Then he holds the ball up. He tries to roll it through towards Decordova-Reid. That one is cleared away by Kurt Zuma, back towards the halfway line. Anderson was being chased down by Havertz, but he still keeps the ball alive for Fulham. Now it's with Zambo Anguissa. Anthony Robinson inside now to Ademola Lookman. Under pressure from Andreas Christensen. The referee thought about giving Fulham a free kick, but decides that there was an advantage. Then he decides there's no advantage because Christensen wouldn't leave Lookman alone there, so that is going to be a free kick. Still quite a long way from goal, but a chance now for Fulham to try and work something into the penalty area. Havertz now with 2 goals this evening. 3 in his last 3 for Chelsea now, as that ball has been won back by Josh Maja after the initial free kick was won back by Hakim Ziyech. Fulham still trying to get forward at the edge of the area. Josh Maja then to Zambo Anguissa. He leaves this for Mario Lemina. Lemina then threads that ball through to Zambo Anguissa. He tries to turn and get a shot away. No, he finds Robinson. Robinson's ball into the box is closed down by Reece James, out for a throw to Fulham down the left-hand side. Anthony Robinson gets that ball in towards Bobby Decordova-Reid. Pressure there, Decordova-Reid now going back towards Mario Lemina. Plays it square to Ola Anya. Lemina again. Out wide towards Ola Anya. There's still players waiting at the edge of the area. It's Anya under pressure here from Billy Gilmore. Looks to get a cross in. Oh, he gets a good ball in as well. And there's a combination of Christensen and James sort of both looking at each other as that ball was dropping inside the 6-yard box. And in the end, the 2 of them just about get enough of a chest on it to get that ball out for a corner. But real indecision there from Christensen and James. I think in the end, probably both waiting maybe for their goalkeeper as well. But certainly that look that James gave Christensen after that ball went out for a corner suggested that Reece James wasn't too pleased with that. We've had 6 corner kicks in this match so far, and Fulham have had 5 of them. Referee just stopping play before allowing this corner kick to be taken. Feels as though there's just a little bit too much pushing and shoving there between Edouard Mendy and Bobby Decordova-Reid. Mendy now instructing Kurt Zuma to marshal Decordova-Reid. Certainly not an encounter you'd be allowed to see in a boxing ring. The 2 of them certainly different sizes, but Zuma now keeping an eye on Decordova-Reid as well as this ball is put in. In the end, it made no difference because the cross was far too low and flat. Barely reached the near post. Disappointing there from Ademola Lookman. But he gets another chance here down the left-hand side. Throw on to Fulham. Anthony Robinson under pressure from Hakim Ziyech. Does really well there, Robinson, to ride the challenge. And here is Zambo Anguissa now finding Decordova-Reid at the edge of the area. Ball is cleared down the line by Reece James. Picked up on the halfway line now by Anderson. Mario Lemina out towards Anthony Robinson down the left-hand side. Back towards the halfway line now. Ola Anya finding Frank Zambo Anguissa. Plays it back to Anderson. Towards Robinson down the left-hand side, heading towards the penalty area. Tries to thread that ball through, but in the end, Robinson probably wanted to take the strike on himself, but he was being closed down. And sort of as a last thought, we just quickly rolled that ball through towards the penalty area, looking for Decordova-Reid. But really, there's little chance of Decordova-Reid getting on the end of that one. Pass was overhit. Now it's Christensen playing the ball forward for Chelsea, up towards the halfway line. Timo Werner really tussling there with Joachim Anderson. Anderson brings him down. It will be a free kick to Chelsea just inside the Fulham half. So Timo Werner, Reece James standing over it. Werner still picking himself up after the foul. It's going to be Reece James to take this free kick. Fulham have well, I'm not sure that Mario Lemina's done the right thing there. I mean, there was a message being passed on from the bench to Mario Lemina. He read the note and then he just threw the note down on the pitch. I mean, apart from the littering aspect, obviously, there's the fact that a Chelsea player could obviously pick that up. I think it was, wasn't it? I don't remember which player it was for Sheffield Wednesday that did that once, where he just literally leaned over and read a note from an opposition player that he just received from the bench as well. Of course, there's no laws against having a sneak peek at what the opposition are trying to do. But certainly, whatever Scott Parker was seeing from Mario Lemina and the central midfielders wasn't good enough. He wanted to pass on another message as to how he wants things to look in this last half an hour. Chelsea leading Fulham here by 2-0. Independent off-tube studio commentary. It's Hakim Ziyech now. Leaves the ball for Timo Werner. Back to Ziyech at the edge of the area. Strong, but a fair challenge from Anderson. Wins that ball for Fulham. And now a chance for Fulham to go on the counter down the right-hand side with Zambo Anguissa. He's got some support in the form of Caballero down the right-hand side, but he goes back towards Mario Lemina. He goes square now to Adebayo. Adebayo inside to Ademola Lookman. Lookman thought about shooting and then just plays it square to Zambo Anguissa. He's got options. He could have tried to play that ball into the penalty area. It just goes short to Caballero. Caballero now puts a cross in, gets a decent bit of height on that as well, as Reece James gets underneath that one for Chelsea and nods it out for a corner kick. So again, good patient build-up from Fulham. So it's taken them a few minutes after this second goal, but once again, just as in the first half, they've sort of found their shape after conceding and slowly getting into, as we can see, frustrated expressions there from Thomas Tuchel. Thinking that his side, having taken a 2-0 lead here, would start to be a bit more dominant, but a combination of Chelsea perhaps just not quite being at their game at times, and Fulham still being very keen, as this ball is effectively catching practice for Edouard Mendy. I'm pretty sure he gets harder crosses than that from his goalkeeper coach in the warm-up. It's just a floated ball really into the 6-yard. It's been a problem for Ademola Lookman, not just in this game, but I would say that having done quite a few Fulham games this season, overall, the quality of crosses from corners from Lookman has been a little bit short this season. As the ball now goes through towards Kai Havertz, he's got a great chance here as he breaks into the penalty area. Tosin Adebayo with the sliding challenge puts the ball out for a corner, and in any case, the flag does go up now anyway. But we'll see again from once again it's this diagonal ball from Ben Chilwell. This time going more down the middle really, rather than going straight over towards the right-hand side. Tell you what, there wasn't much in that, but the flag goes up with a little bit of a delay. Adebayo a bit frustrated that the flag was late. But Havertz just needed that one extra touch, and as he was about to pull the trigger, really good challenge there from Adebayo to win the ball back from Fulham. In the end, it was all academic as the flag had gone up, and Fulham now in a bit of trouble here trying to get the ball away from their own penalty area. Pressure there on Mario Lemina. Ball up and then plays it square to Tosin Adebayo. Through the middle now, Adebayo leaving the ball for Mario Lemina. It's square to Zambo Anguissa. Lemina again. Back towards Jim Anderson. And the visitors here trying to once again get a bit more possession inside the Chelsea half. A bit easy at the moment, having to go back towards the halfway line again. Anderson finding Josh Maja, who really has been isolated, even though Fulham have had a fair amount of attacking possession at times in this match. Really haven't been able to get the striker Josh Maja into the game at all. Zambo Anguissa now down the right-hand side to Ola Anya. Closed down there by Kai Havertz and Billy Gilmour, going back towards Mario Lemina. Square now to Tosin Adebayo. Here is Anthony Robinson. Here for Robinson, just plays it short towards Lookman. Back into they're called Overeed, and now Anderson on the halfway line. Looks for options. Gets that ball through towards the edge of the area, but actually there was nobody there. I'm not quite sure who Anderson had spotted to try and play that ball. The nearest player was Josh Maja, who was about 10 yards away from where that pass ended up. And in the meantime, Chelsea have now spread play out towards the right-hand side, and they're going on the counter here with Mason Mount being closed down by Anthony Robinson. So Mount switching play now to Chilwell down the left-hand side. He leaves it for Kai Havertz. Havertz breaking into the penalty area. Good strong challenge though from Ola Anya. Wins the ball back for Fulham, and here is Zambo Anguissa now breaking out for the visitors. Skips past Billy Gilmour, runs straight into Reece James though, and I think the way he hit the deck and looked up was as if he was expecting a free kick. I don't think there was any foul from Reece James though. Mason Mount now with the ball for Chelsea on the halfway line. Goes square to Ben Chilwell, back towards Kurt Zouma.
Thiago Silva now to Billy Gilmour. Moving forward here for Chelsea. Square to Hakim Ziyech. Towards Reece James. Ziyech now playing the ball back towards the halfway line for Christensen. It wasn't too far away from being picked off there by Ademola Lookman. The ball is now out for a throw to Chelsea down the right-hand side. See Scott Parker. He's just trying to get some message across to Kevin Friend there, the referee. Isn't pleased, but to the table doesn't make for good reading. Keep in mind that all of Fulham's rivals are playing their matches tomorrow. I'll say those teams are just above Fulham. Newcastle and Burnley play their matches tomorrow, so it's going to be nervous watching for Scott Parker. It's been a tough season for Fulham. In the meantime, as Fulham try to get forward, the ball is now over on the left-hand side as Hakim Ziyech wins it back, and then he slips and loses the ball. That was a little bit disappointing from him. Throw on to Fulham. Now we're going to see our first change of this match, and it's going to be N'Golo Kante to come on for Chelsea for Hakim Ziyech, interestingly enough. So I guess that means that we aren't. That almost definitely means that we're going to see Mason Mount join that midfield, join that attacking three. And N'Golo Kante will sit in that central midfield role alongside Billy Gilmour. To Fulham now down the right-hand side. Ola Anya with the ball going back towards his own penalty area. With Ola Anya on the halfway line. To try and get, if Fulham were to get a goal back here within the next, say, 10 minutes, within the next 5 minutes, even within the next 10 minutes, I think they would give themselves a chance. But the problem is that for all that promising possession, they haven't really had too many clear-cut chances. They're trying again now down the right-hand side as Caballero lifts across him. Probably puts a little bit too much pace on that, but Reece James certainly can't take any chances with it, with that ball being so close to his 6-yard box. So he does head it out for a corner kick. It's good work from Caballero initially to find space for the cross. Ball just had a little bit too much on it. It is going to be a corner kick to Fulham. They're absolutely well. This is their 6th corner kick now. Fulham to Chelsea's 1. But the delivery has been a bit disappointing from a Lookman on a couple of occasions. We'll see what kind of corner kick he delivers this time. Again, it's too short. Kai Havertz, even ahead of his near post, can head that away. That really is disappointing from Lookman. And it's becoming a theme. It's not like it's the first or second time that this has happened in the match. It's not the first or second time that Lookman has done this season. His corners have just been a little bit short. So Fulham win possession back in midfield, but just as quickly they lose it again. And here is N'Golo Kante now playing it short to Kai Havertz. He goes back towards Reece James. And Thiago Silva now. It's over towards Kurt Zouma. Gets that ball through towards Mason Mount, out towards the left-hand side. And Chelsea now back in possession inside their own half. With around a quarter of the match to go still, Chelsea lead against Fulham by 2-0. But similarly as in the first half, after Fulham conceded their goal, it's taken them a little while, and they've really come out and started playing well again here, Fulham. But it's all promising build-up. It's decent midfield possession. At the same time, they're not really getting the shots away to test Edouard Mendy. So Chelsea will still feel comfortable with how the game is looking at the moment. Chelsea also making the first change of the match, with Hakim Ziyech replaced by N'Golo Kante, as Thomas Tuchel just looking to try and shore things up in midfield, perhaps just try and counter this a large amount of possession that Fulham have had. But Chelsea still lead by 2-0. Going back towards Edouard Mendy, to Christensen, the right-hand side being closed down by Lookman and Robinson. Going forward towards the halfway line, taken down here by Joachim Andersen. Andersen is off down the left-hand side. He runs straight into Reece James. And both players looking to the referees have to say that's half foul, but I think the referees decided that Andersen was just a bit too physical there and trying to keep that ball alive for Fulham. It will be in fact, no, after all of that, it was just a throw to Fulham. I must admit, I did think that there might have been a free kick there in Chelsea's favour. But Fulham in possession now with Josh Maja. His ball towards Ola Anya wasn't the best, and there's a real nasty fall there from Kai Havertz. He clashed with Mario Lemina in mid-air. No free kick, no foul, no injury stoppage. We play on as Fulham now in possession down the left-hand side. Chelsea are sort of requesting that Fulham kick the ball out. Fulham didn't want to, but in the end they decided it was Mason Mount that had hit the deck. And he still needs a little bit of time here to pick himself up. Havertz flicked the ball up in the air, and then it's Mario Lemina that sort of bumps into Mason Mount as he's in mid-air, and he hits that turf really hard, landing on his back, so it's quite a painful one there for Mason Mount. Need a minute or two before he can get back up again. Here to see whether or not Mount can play. And he's still looking a little bit dazed as he's down on the ground. Tuchel still looking fairly relaxed on that touchline. He's had a few moments where he's looked a bit frustrated in this second half. And I'm not surprised really when you consider that his side haven't really gone for the jugular, having scored that second goal. You could argue that as things stand, Chelsea still look very comfortable for the win, because Fulham haven't really been able to test the goalkeeper. They've tested the Chelsea defence on more than one occasion this evening, but they haven't really been able to test Edouard Mendy consistently. That must be where they need to improve in these final 20 minutes. It's Mason Mount now making his way off the field. It's a quick high five there with Mario Lemina. As I said, there was no intent from what Lemina did, but it did look like it could have been a foul. Be back in play. Mason Mount walking off gingerly, but it looks like he's going to be okay to come back on the field. Doesn't seem to be anything in terms of a change for Chelsea being ready at the moment. Fulham haven't made any changes either. It's the one change in the match so far, with Ziyech replaced by Kante. 71 minutes gone, independent off-tube studio commentary. Chelsea leading Fulham by 2-0. It's with Zambo Anguissa down the right-hand side for Fulham, playing it back in towards Ola Anya. Anderson to Robinson on the left-hand side. Havertz already getting close to him, and now Werner is pressing as well, as this ball is played back towards the goalkeeper Alphonse Areola, with Anya down the right-hand side under a bit of pressure, having to go square. The visitors just getting a little bit bogged down at the edge of their own penalty area. Ball now played back by Robinson towards Adebayo. Just lets that run a little bit too far, and now it's with Timo Werner at the edge of the area, tries to win that ball back after Anya had initially blocked him, but Anya sticks to his task there and gets the ball away, although Zambo Anguissa gives it away almost immediately, and Chilwell has a chance now to get this ball towards Timo Werner, back towards Chilwell into the 6-yard box, and Kai Havertz is waiting to score his hat-trick, but not before Tosin Adebayo slides in and puts that ball out for a corner. It may well be that there was an offside and all of that anyway, because it clearly is a corner, but nobody is waiting inside the penalty area, so we'll see here. Oh yes, as Timo Werner plays this ball to Chilwell on the overlap. Chilwell is offside by about 3 yards, so there's no issue with that one, but Fulham have taken a short goal kick and they give it away almost immediately. Get a bit of luck there as that ball deflects and it's cleared towards the halfway line. Fulham their own worst enemy there, the way that they gave that ball away. It's always a risk when you play goal kicks out from the back every time. Appreciate that most teams now expect their goalkeepers to be able to play out from the back, but if you do it every time, the score of averages tells you that there's always going to be one or two that could go wrong. Here comes Kurt Zuma now down the left-hand side, towards the Fulham penalty area, going back towards Mason Mount. Now it's with Kai Havertz into the penalty area, trying to get Reece James in on the overlap. Oh, and there is James playing the ball in towards Timo Werner. It's a good save though from Areola to push that ball away from his own 6-yard box. Robinson with the clearance now taken down by Ademola Lookman. So he goes back towards Mario Lemina, still at the edge of the Fulham penalty area. Now with Zambo Anguissa. The right-hand side here to even Caballero. Still not sure if that's been given as a free kick to Fulham or not, but we're getting another replay of this last move where Reece James was trying to play that ball square to Timo Werner. Havertz in the build-up as well. Ball in from James though, well saved by... Well, I say well saved, if actually wasn't that well saved by Lemina. He stopped it, but he could have actually held on to that one as well. Just deflected that into the path of Anderson, who eventually cleared his lines. Now the ball going back towards Areola. playing it back towards the goalkeeper again. Too many Chelsea players inside the Fulham half for them to be playing through the middle like that, but they're still trying. They're insisting on not playing any kind of long ball now towards the halfway line. Zambo Anguissa now heads it on for Ivan Caballero. Gives that ball away, and N'Golo Kante now for Chelsea, going back towards Christensen. Christensen to Kurt Zuma. Over towards Reece James down the right-hand side. Back towards Thiago Silva. Chelsea sort of making little darts into the Fulham half and then going back towards the halfway line again. Now it's with Mason Mount towards Ben Chilwell down the left-hand side. Holds it up, finds Timo Werner, and in the meantime there was an offside in that move for Chelsea down the left. So it is going to be a free kick to Fulham now. They're getting ready to make their first change of the afternoon. Looks like it's Josh Onoma getting ready to come on for the visitors. Chelsea going to make their second change as well, with Tammy Abraham now ready to come on. It is Tammy Abraham coming on for, is that Kai Havertz we saw, or is that Mason Mount? I'm trying to see what's no, I definitely saw a 9 on there if I'm not mistaken. It is Mason Mount getting ready to come off. Kai Havertz, of course, hunting for a hat-trick. A shame for him to go off so late on in the game, and he's still got that chance. Tammy Abraham now coming on for Chelsea for these final 15 minutes. As I mentioned, Josh Onoma getting ready to come on for Fulham as well. Wait to see who Onoma is going to be coming for. Central midfielder. So I have to assume it's going to be maybe Zambo Anguissa, maybe Lamina. So potentially another change just to perhaps tactically alter things slightly for Fulham as well. We'll have to wait and see. So for the time being, just that Chelsea change. Onoma was ready to come on, but Fulham just holding back on this change for another minute or two. The ball is now back in play, with Adebayo going back towards the goalkeeper, Alphonse Areola. Plays the ball out to Robinson, headed on towards Ademola Lookman, flicked up in the air by Thiago Silva. So Fulham now win it in midfield. That's a strong challenge there on Zambo Anguissa. Referee allows play to go on, and here is Anthony Robinson now being closed down by Reece James. Now going back towards Ademola Lookman. Now Jim Anderson under pressure from Timo Werner. There is Ola Anya now down the right-hand side, playing it short towards Frank Zambo Anguissa. Then leaves it here for Mario Lamina. Trying to thread that ball through towards Ivan Caballero, stopped by Kurt Zuma, and then the ball goes out for a throw. And now we are going to see that change from him. In fact, it's a double change, but the first one is going to be for, looks like we're going to see Josh Onoma coming on here for Ivan Caballero. Well, we're going to see a second change here for Fulham, as I mentioned. It's going to be young Fabio Carvalho as well. 18-year-old, making his first appearance in the Premier League, so we'll see how he gets on here. Coming on for Cordova Reed, and Lamina is the other one to go off, so that would make sense. Mario Lamina is off to be replaced by Josh Onoma. Gilmour at the edge of the area as Fulham were getting close, but now Anderson keeping the ball alive down the right-hand side. His cross is headed away by Thiago Silva back towards the halfway line, and Adebayo under pressure there from Timo Werner. So the ball now back over on the left-hand side here with Anthony Robinson, and trying to go forward. It's Fabio Carvalho there, runs into trouble. So this will be a throw to Fulham now down the left-hand side. Camera focusing on Alexander Mitrovic. Looks like it might be another match where Mitrovic doesn't play any part. It was such a big part of Fulham getting promotion to the Premier League last year. Just hasn't been able to replicate that kind of scoring form. Hasn't really been given the opportunities either, it has to be said. Ball now back with Fulham goalkeeper Areola. To try and play this long. Oh, well, he was certainly winding up for a long clearance, but then he just plays it short towards Adelibay should have done better, really. Fulham have been playing out from the back pretty much every time in this game. Certainly not a criticism, although sometimes it can put your defence under a little bit of unnecessary pressure. Now over on the right-hand side, Anguissa to try and get this one forward. Over towards the left-hand side, looking for Ademola Lookman. So the ball is now through, and it's going to get through all the way to Edouard Mendy. It's been a pretty steady performance from Chelsea, but again, something that we've said about Chelsea on a few occasions before, that it's just not been particularly sort of, it's not been a kind of a style element to it at times. Chelsea are going to get the 3 points, but if there were style points for winning football matches, Chelsea wouldn't be getting too many of them today, because they've scored 2 good goals, and they've had a couple of other chances, but really they've been pegged back for long spells here by Fulham. Must in itself be a bit of a frustration there for Thomas Tuchel. Information now. So there's going to be a third and final change here for Chelsea. It's going to be Ben Chilwell to go off. He's going to be replaced by Marcos Alonso. Alonso on now for the final minutes for Chelsea. So Fulham making their third change now as well, with Josh Maja replaced by Aleksandar Mitrovic. Mitrovic is on now for the final minutes of this game. See if he gets any service to try and move this ball forward to try and give Fulham at least a consolation here late on, a bit of a fighting chance maybe to still pick up a point in this match. It's not looking too likely at the moment for all the effort that Fulham have had in this game. They really have struggled to get any kind of, particularly in the second half, they've not really created the chance. They've had the possession and the build-up, but the chances haven't really been coming in. As strong challenge there from Joachim Andersen on Billy Gilmour. No free kick. Possession back for Chelsea though. Here's N'Golo Kante. Ball forward is picked off here by Zambo Anguissa. Now it's with Anthony Robinson down the left-hand side, dispossessed. And a chance now as a strong challenge there from Zambo Anguissa on Kai Havertz. He goes down holding his, looks like it was his left arm that was giving him problems there, but play on. And the ball is now out on the right-hand side here with Declan Dover-Reid. Dover-Reid playing the ball back towards the halfway line for Anderson. So now going forward, looking up to see whether or not he could play the long ball there towards Mitrovic. Just chooses to play it square to Adelibay. Now back towards Anderson. Just confirmation again that the 3 substitutes for Fulham are Fabio Carvalho coming on for Ivan Caballero, Josh Onoma coming on for Mario Lemina, and Aleksandar Mitrovic, who a moment ago just came on for Josh Maja. Chelsea have made all 3 changes as well, with Alonso coming on for Chilwell, and earlier we saw Abraham coming on for Mason Mount. N'Golo Kante had also come on earlier for Hakim Ziyech. Those are the 6 changes in the match this evening. And less than an hour away now from the final game in the Premier League on this Saturday. It's going to be from Goodison Park, where Everton take on Aston Villa. For the time being though, it's Fulham still trying to fashion some sort of chance here late on in this match. Here is Ola Anya now, going square to Frank Zambo Anguissa. Playing it forward for Ola Anya, who'd carried on his run. It's a good run as well, puts a cross in, which is charged down by Kurt Zuma. Does it deflect back off Ola Anya? Certainly looking as if, no, it's not going to be a corner kick to Fulham in the end. There's Scott Parker still trying to get some instructions out to his players, some encouragement as well. It has been a tough match this for Fulham. The endeavour, much to show for it, and unfortunately that's also a pretty good summation of how their season has been at times, where they've been poor in certain games. Particularly the start of the season was difficult for Fulham, but certainly that period after Christmas, things just started to pick up a little bit for Fulham. That spell throughout Christmas where they didn't lose a game, but they were drawing match after match. That That's a FA Cup win against the QPR, or a draw away at Spurs, that followed by 3 defeats. And since the end of January, they have tried to pick up a little bit of form. February was the month where they really looked as though they were going to turn a corner. That's a draw at home to West Ham, then a win away at Everton, a draw against Burnley, a win against Sheffield United, a draw away at Palace. If one of those draws could have been turned into a win as well, it could have been crucial. But ever since then, as I mentioned, that defeat at home to Leeds United seemed to be a real negative turning point for Fulham. Got a free kick around 40 yards out. Ademola Lookman with the ball into the box. Does he get a touch off Tammy Abraham? Yes, it does. It's going to be a corner kick to Fulham. Abraham was underneath that one. Ball now out for a corner kick. Chance now for players to get into the box for Fulham to perhaps at least get a consolation. I don't think it'll be any more than that, though. We've still got 5 minutes. They could score here potentially. Still think about getting a point, but the cross comes in and Mitrovic is jumping for it. And the ball goes out. It's actually out for a goal kick in the end. I think Mitrovic might have got in the way of his own teammate there as he was jumping up for that one. So it's going to be a free kick to Chelsea now inside their own penalty area. So, contact there. But Mitrovic, been a bit strange season for him, really. Started with a bit of an injury. In the meantime, Fulham just couldn't quite pick their form up, but he's had 25 appearances this season, Mitrovic. 3 goals to show for it. That's compared with 26 goals he scored last season in 40 games. 41 games, in fact. But Mitrovic, say he's been a player who's had a couple of goals in the Premier League now, but he's always had a struggle to get that kind of Premier League form, really. But then he drops into the Championship and he becomes a very difficult player to stop. He's at that point now. I just wonder whether or not what Fulham's plans are, of course, in terms of once if relegation is confirmed, things are going to have to move in terms of how the club move forward. They didn't want to do all the spending they did after the previous promotion, where they then had to sort of restructure the whole squad after they got relegated. They are slightly better prepared, I think, this time, but they still obviously will want to avoid relegation. But they're starting to run out of matches here. This is an effort from just outside the box from Anthony Robinson. That one sails over the bar. A chance of getting that one on target. So overall, you have to say that Chelsea, if we did have fans in for this match, I think there'd be quite a few Chelsea fans being critical of this, because Chelsea pretty much sat back and allowed newly promoted Fulham to just pretty much go for pretty much just have all the possession that they need. It's just that they've not been able to convert that into anything, and the Chelsea defence most of the time have stood firm, and on a couple of occasions when Mendy has been needed, he's also made saves as well. As Lookman there slides in to try and win the ball off Christensen. He does get the ball off Christensen, but he does so after a foul, according to the referee Kevin Friend. So it is going to be a free kick to Chelsea. Still inside their own half. Andreas Christensen waiting to take this free kick. Kai Havertz still lurking at the edge of the area, of course, hunting for his hat-trick. Love to be able to do that, Havertz, considering that he's had a pretty tough start in England, just as Timo Werner, really. But both have come on in the last couple of months. So Chelsea now take that free kick short. Christensen going to Thiago Silva. He's under pressure, goes back to Christensen, and he rolls the ball all the way back towards Edouard Mendy. Cleared down the middle, headed forward, but that one's picked up by Jim Anderson. He goes back towards the goalkeeper Areola, and Fulham can start again in midfield here now with Josh Onoma. Just holds the ball up Onoma and then goes back towards Ola Anya. Anya then plays it back for Jim Anderson. Lifts that ball over towards the left-hand side for Adebayo. Robinson now playing it back to Adebayo. Anderson over towards the right-hand side now for Zambo Anguissa. Moving this ball forward towards the edge of the area. Zambo Anguissa then gets leaves that ball for Mitrovic, and that's a strong challenge on Mitrovic. He's down on the ground in some real pain. It's Thiago Silva with the challenge. Mitrovic is just going to need a moment here to pick himself up. Well, we're both managers now making changes late on, and the pattern of the match hasn't really changed for quite some time. It's Chelsea comfortably sat back in their own half, allowing a certain amount of Fulham possession in midfield without allowing too much of that to get through to their penalty area. Edouard Mendy hasn't really had too many saves to make. Anthony Robinson just had a strike which went over the bar. There were a couple of promising crosses from a couple of promising moves from left and right, but in the end the crossing was disappointing. Zambo Anguissa from the right and Lookman from the left. Fulham will be disappointed because they've had a lot of possession in this match, but they just haven't really been able to get those chances to test the goalkeeper. As we get close to injury time, it's still Chelsea 2, Fulham 0. Took that free kick short. Will now play back to Anya, heading into the penalty area. Leaves the ball for Josh Onoma. Back towards Decordova-Reid down the right-hand side. He plays it back towards Onoma. Now it's with Ademola Lookman. Mitrovic is back on the field now. He gets the ball from Lookman, leaves it for Lookman, then tries to pick that ball up again. Mitrovic plays it square now for Robinson. Robinson's ball into the box. Swept away by Billy Gilmore. Back towards the halfway line. Abraham under pressure there from Tosin Adebayo. And Adebayo in the end winning his side the free kick. Free kick to Fulham taken quickly. We're into injury time now at the end of this match. Confirmation we're going to get 4 minutes of injury time at the end of this second half. Ball into the Chelsea penalty area, and Carvalho with the touch. The ball just gets away from him though. And that is now back into the arms of the goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy. Really good save from Mendy, coming up very quickly there. Needed to be as well because Carvalho wasn't too far away. A bit of that was a bit clumsy there from Carvalho as well. Just seeing that replay again, he does catch Edouard Mendy there on the top of the head. As I say, it's more sort of a youthful inexperience rather than any kind of intent. I would certainly give Carvalho the benefit of the doubt there. It didn't look for any intent from any angle as though he wanted to do it, but you certainly can't deny that there was some contact there with Edouard Mendy. Camera now focusing on Kepa. Now, because this is a head injury, could in theory Kepa still come on if there was a need, because of course Chelsea have used all 3 of their substitutions, but there is this new concussion substitution which has now been brought in. So in theory, if there is a problem here with Mendy, then Kepa would still be allowed to come on. We're well into injury time now at the end of this second half. Mendy just needs a second there. Seeing a bit of an ice pack on his head, but he should be okay to play on. Everything suggests that he's okay. So overall, Chelsea picking up 3 points this evening without having to do too much. They've had a lot more work to do in defence than they have trying to create their own attacks in this game. And so that's always been a little bit of a worry, I think, since Thomas Tuchel took over. That perhaps Chelsea, whilst they look very much in control, they're second in the league when it comes to clean sheets. Man City are first with 18, Chelsea 17, and interesting enough, Aston Villa with 14 are the third team with clean sheets in terms of the Premier League this season. It's still, I think, just a little bit of something lacking in terms of Chelsea's attack. They've certainly got the right names in the team, but perhaps just lacking a little bit more attacking emphasis in terms of how the team is set up. Fulham in midfield now gets Carvalho was tripped, but the referee says play on because Fulham can still keep the ball alive down the left-hand side. Anthony Robinson finds Josh Onoma and then leaves the ball for Ademola Lookman back towards the halfway line for Tosin Adebayo. Gets the ball back from Anderson, gets caught in possession there by Tammy Abraham, but then Ademola Lookman is back to win that ball for Fulham. Here is Zambo Anguissa now. Going to Fabio Carvalho. Out to Decordova-Reid down the right-hand side. To Zambo Anguissa. Switches play out towards the left-hand side. Anthony Robinson. And towards Ademola Lookman. Plays it back to Zambo Anguissa. Inside now to Josh Onoma, who slides in. He could have fouled Timo Werner. The referee plays the advantage, and now Chelsea have a 3-on-3. It's Werner and Abraham and Havertz heading towards the penalty area. Ola Anya brings down Timo Werner at the edge of the area. This will be a free kick to Chelsea and a yellow card for Ola Anya. I'm not sure he can have any complaints about that, because initially it was a challenge from Josh Onoma, which could have already resulted in a foul. Referee allowed play to go on. Werner got all the way to the edge of the area before Ola Anya made little effort to get the ball, really. It wasn't a particularly bad challenge, but he slid in with his knee, making sure that he'd make a little bit of contact with Timo Werner at full speed, which would have been enough to bring the German forward down, and that's precisely what's happened. It is going to be a free kick now to Chelsea at the edge of the Fulham penalty area. We're over the 4 minutes of injury time now. But we're still going to see this free kick. We might even get a little bit more time on top of that, because there was that injury stoppage in injury time for that head injury for Edouard Mendy. Anthony Robinson is now lying down behind the wall to stop any low shots from surprising his goalkeeper. There is a five-man wall as well. Right-footed James and left-footed Alonso stand over it. It's left-footed Alonso, drills that straight into Walla Anya. The rebound to Timo Werner is charged down. Kai Havertz then gets another chance, but he has to play it back towards Reece James. The ball is now with Billy Gilmour. He puts a cross into the penalty area, which is headed on by Alonso. Timo Werner then tries to nod it towards goal, but it's straight into the arms of goalkeeper Areola. Then he bowls it out quickly to Zambo Anguissa. He's heading down the left-hand side. We've had 5 minutes of injury time now at the end of this game. And is the referee going to allow for any more? It doesn't look like it. It is full time. Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea have beaten Fulham by 2-0. Wasn't a classic performance from Chelsea by any stretch. They scored early in the first and early in the second half. Fulham in between that had some really good possession, not too many chances, but it's a disappointing evening for Scott Parker's side, who are edging ever closer to relegation. Chelsea securing their fourth spot even more, and getting that little bit closer to Leicester City. So thank you very much for joining me on this independent off-tube studio commentary. Just over half an hour to go until Everton and Aston Villa, but for the time being, thank you very much.